So every time I walk M Street every day, going to practice back and forth, and I honestly can't remember a time that I walked Wisconsin or M Street without getting catcalled. And one specific instance, I was walking to CVS with one of my friends, and a guy said, "Hey, sexy," on the corner, and next thing I know, I'm in one of the aisles of CVS, and the same guy came and grabbed my ass and walked away. And so I felt super uncomfortable, obviously, and like ran over to find my friend because I didn't know what this guy was gonna do.
And so, like, generally speaking, do you feel like when you're walking down Wisconsin Street, you feel like unsafe or just like uncomfortable alone, or do you?
I do it so frequently that like I don't feel unsafe. Also, like my dad is like a police officer, so like he's always like taught me how to protect myself. But in general, like there are some mornings when I'm walking in the dark that I do feel kind of nervous, especially if I see a man like coming towards me just because of that experience.
Right. Great. Thanks. Wow.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, what's up, Caroline? How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. How have you been?
Excellent. I'm glad I ran into you last night.
Hey, Caroline.
What's up?
Want to hear this statistic I heard from the WNBA?
Oh yeah, what's up?
Oh, did you know that 80% of people would rather find $5 on the ground than have their WNBA team win the national championship?
Oh, that's horrible. I don't even know how to respond to that. My cousin plays for the WNBA.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was like a thing. I mean, that's not that impressive, I feel like. It's just like WNBA.
Why?
I mean, like, the NBA, like, is a much bigger deal. Like, men are much more athletic and it's much more competitive, I feel like. I mean, that's cool. Like, good for her. But, like, yeah, good for your cousin.
So I went to Guatemala for 6 weeks over the summer, and whenever I was on the street, I'd get catcalls like every time I'd go out, and it was always by men, and I always felt very unsafe and not like very insecure when that would happen. And in Guatemala, they have a big culture called machismo, and it's a very patriarchal society, even more so than like the United States. So when I would ask people about it, they'd say it's because men are more dominant and have more power, and that's why it would happen, but it still made me feel really uncomfortable.
And so, could you talk a little bit more about the machismo culture?
Yeah, so basically in Guatemala, the men are seen as superior, and they make the decisions, and they're like allowed to, or they're not allowed to, but it's seen more as okay for them to like sexualize or discriminate against women. Yeah.
Okay, dope. Ready?
Caroline, like, not to be rude, but like, you shouldn't be smoking.
Why? You're smoking.
Because you're a girl.
What the fuck? What?
Wow, that's
Hello?
really hypocritical, dude.
It's so sexist,
That
dog.
doesn't make any
Are you
sense.
serious right now?
Wow.
What is your reasoning?
Yeah,
Yeah.
can you explain that to us a little bit?
It makes you look unattractive.
How?
It's more
And it doesn't make
attractive.
you look unattractive?
Yeah.
No, because I'm a guy and I can smoke whenever I want. Jesus.
And over the summer, I work in a beer warehouse. And so one day we were loading kegs into one of the accounts, a bar, and I was helping one of my male coworkers. And the next day, another coworker of mine went in and was talking about my performance. And the bar owner said, quote, "I don't know why we have skinny bitches loading the beer," and he said that we do not need women in the workplace.
And do you think that that's more of a remnant of sort of just like the bar scene as a whole and just sort of sexism and misogyny in that industry, or is that a reflection of more just sort of overarching themes like in our country?
Yes, that I believe that it has to do a lot with that women shouldn't be doing grunt work, that we should be filing paperwork and we should be answering phone calls.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
So basically in Guatemala, most of the men have the jobs and all the women stay at home, and it seemed very like out of context for them to like go to college and get jobs, and that's mainly a man's role. So that's the big thing I would say that I noticed.
Hey, so did you listen to the new Taylor Swift album?
Yeah, oh my god, it's fantastic.
Oh, she's so fabulous.
Right? What's your favorite song?
Did you guys see the Patriots game? So excited for them to go to the Super Bowl.
Where are they from again?
I should have known girls wouldn't know sports.
Yikes, that was mean.
Don't look so upset. I think he's only mean to you because he likes you.
So a lot of times when I talk about my sorority, the first question I'm asked is there girl drama? Is it catty? Like, how do you deal with all the girls being in the same place and being emotional? And something I've noticed when people ask about frats or they ask about other organizations that guys are in, like sports teams, it's always like, when is the next party? Like, oh, they're such bros. Whereas with my sorority, which is all females, it's very much about the emotional stuff and like the drama that I get asked about. And I don't think that that's fair necessarily, because my sorority does some cool stuff with like philanthropy and events, and I wish that people would ask more about that instead of focusing on girl drama per se.
Go.
Thanks, man. Problem. Ladies first.
Oh, shucks.
My partner and I were working with this group that we've been writing a resolution with for a couple days, actually. Like, we've been working on it for a really long time. And we were all standing in a circle, and I started saying over and over, hey guys, we need to start looking at this section. I said it like 3 times. I was saying it really loudly. I was like trying to get everyone's attention, just because it was something that was important that we need to do as a group. And my partner, who was a guy, literally said the exact same sentence once, and suddenly everyone turned and just was like, oh, like, you're right, we do need to start working on that section. Yeah. And I think because in the most ways, like, my partner and I had really like equal sort of influence in the group. We both like been like working with all these people a lot. My partner was older as well, but at the same time, I really think that just the fact that it was a man's voice, just the fact that he's a tall white guy, like, I think it like people's attention are drawn more to that type of person. And that was kind of upsetting to me when I realized, like, you know, like, I have to actually work more to like make people listen to me, make people respect me, make people like listen to what I have to say. And I think some of that comes as well from, we have even now, I think the way we raise children and the way like boys and girls sort of have different childhood experiences still affects that, because I think like in a lot of ways we still expect like boys and like young men to be a lot more assertive, to be a lot more outgoing, to sort of pursue what they want in a like just more aggressively. For example, like the fact that it's like men are expected to ask women out on dates, like men are supposed to be the ones that ask girls to dances. Like, when you do have that gender divide, it's always a man who's supposed to take the initiative, and then women are just kind of there. And I think that then plays into when you go into like an academic or a professional setting, men are literally just like so comfortable being the one reaching out, being the one taking the initiative, where if women did follow that sort of traditional track growing up, they are less so. And I think then the way that plays out is people expect men to naturally to talk more, to be more assertive, to be the one who starts a conversation and leads it. Whereas if a woman does the same thing, if a woman's really initiative and says like, this is what we need to do, this is how it should go, if she takes a leadership role when it wasn't like already assigned to her, people see her as bossy. People say like, people have a very specific word they use that only applies to women is another thing that they use for women in that same setting. And I think that definitely affects women's professional lives and academic lives as well, since this is basically pre-professional.
High school actually had a girl kicker on the football team.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Isn't
but
that
like,
awesome?
she would never be able to play in the NFL. She'd break in half.
But honestly, what people say in discussion sections about like other students, I've noticed that if there's a guy who talks a lot and sort of is kind of dominating in a discussion section, people don't seem to think that much of it. Sometimes they do. Every now and then someone will be like, oh, that annoys me, like he annoys me. But for the most part, people don't really say that much. But I hear all the time people complaining about girls or like women in discussion sections who are really aggressive and talk a lot and seem to always have the answer. People really latch onto that, I think, much more than they do with men saying like, oh my gosh, she's so annoying, she's so bossy, she's a know-it-all.
So this is Avery League.
Oh, you're already filming? Wait, no.
I mean, like, I can cut all. I can cut all of this out, or put in the bloopers, whatever.
Hey, so did you listen to the new Taylor Swift album yet?
Yeah, oh my god, I loved it.
Oh, T-Swizzle is my girl.
Right?
She just gets me going.
Every time.
Did you guys see the Patriots game? So excited for them to go to the Super Bowl.
Where are they from again?
I should have known girls wouldn't know.
Damn, that was mean.
That's your line. Her experiences in Guatemala. So, just whenever you're ready.
Just talk about it? Okay. So,
Yo, Caroline.
What's up?
I just found out this crazy statistic about the WNBA.